Please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Kwazi Akwamu, proprietor of The Shed at March Park.
Okay, what is The Shed?
The Shed is a work in progress. The Shed is an experiment in grassroots entrepreneurialism. It is a business. It is an outlet for creative production. We create screen printed work. We do digital prints, art, create these wonderful Dinka symbols. We celebrate being African people here in the Shed, and we try to bring consciousness, awareness to the community through creative production.
All right, so that is perfect because this month I'm featuring The Creative. When I think about creative people, you're definitely that. You're a writer, you're also a graphic designer, you're also a person that can do different design prints and digital prints. You do a lot of different things. So what was the first thing when you think about creativity that you got into as a child?
Well, actually, when I was younger, I was an artist. I actually went, Wayne State University had some weekends, some Saturday classes, art classes, and I remember my mother enrolled me, and I was drawing with pastels and, chalk is what we called it, and things like that as a kid, and I learned some fundamentals of art. Of course, later on down the line, I lost some of that artistic because I wasn't using the same tools. Now everything is digital, computer based. So I don't have the same, freestyle with the pen or the pastels as I once did. But now, I design on the computer.
Okay, so in your family, was it a very creative family that you remember coming up? Like your mom, uncles, aunts, dad, so forth and so on, brothers and sisters?
No, I wish I could say that, I got it from someone or someone inspired me. It kind of happened without me knowing that it was happening. I just have a creative leaning within myself. And I kind of tap it. I've become aware of it more and more through the years that I was a creative person because I'm very introspective. I think a lot and I study things. I pay attention to details. I look at how things are constructed. I sit in a restaurant, I'm looking at the lighting and the way pictures are affixed to the walls. I just pay attention to details. And I think, I'm inspired by unique things that I see, and, I just try to build on that creative, output that's in the world.
Okay, now as you talk about creative output, one of the first outputs how we met was through your writing abilities.
Yes.
And you interviewed me a long while ago for the Michigan Citizen newspaper. So I also believe in your creativity, you tell a lot of stories. So within this, how do you see graphic design and writing connecting? And furthermore, how do you tell these stories that you always have an impact somewhat with everything you do?
Well, it begins with being rooted in the community. I try to be one with the neighborhood that I come from, the neighborhoods that I live in, and try to just be a positive influence. And all the creativity that I do with the Shed, for instance, it's in a residential neighborhood. Again, it's a former garage that was on the property where the house was torn down, but the garage remained. And it could have just been some little idle building like it was for a number of years. And then at some point I said, let me do something with it. Let me, transform it and see what it becomes. And that's why I say it's a work in progress, because it has changed several times in the past couple of years since I've been in here as the Shed. And, it may change again, it may expand, but the thing is, it's open to the community, and the idea is to show people what can be done with little to nothing. We take, basically salvaging a piece of my own property and turn it into something for community good, but also providing not just a source for generating profit or making money, but create, meaningful, relevant products that can also inspire and, kind of spin off into some kind of positivity in the community in a different kind of way.
Okay, so when we talk about these stories and you connecting to the community, let's talk a little bit about your writing, because you're also an author of a book. When it comes to writing, what's your perspective?
Tell the truth. Do your research, do your homework, think long, when you're writing, because, you're going to influence someone. So definitely you want to think about what you're saying and how it may influence or impact others. Ultimately, you're trying to get people to align with the ideas that you're sharing, or at least if you're trying to open their mind, you want to do so successfully. So, you have to measure your words, I believe. But also always try to adhere to truth, and, truth is very subjective. There is no one truth, but when you do your homework, your research, you try to align with what's in the greater good of the people.
Okay, now as you talk about the greater good of the people and so much of the truth and different storytellings, we have a mutual friend, Assata Shakur, who's a heck of an author. And he says that you're one of his favorite writers. You've also been a publisher as we talk about the creativity. How is it being different than writing the vision, but also publishing the vision so more people can see it, giving a platform for people to connect to it?
Well, as a publisher, I thought I had something to say. People read a lot these days through electronic media, but in putting out books, Yusuf is a very prolific writer, but he also has a dynamic story that, he's been able to build on, what I'm saying, in terms of communicating his truth. But for me, writing, it's a medium. It's just like art, just like music. It's a medium for conveying information to people. And I use it, to the best that I have, the ability that I have, to convey that truth the way I understand it. And I try to be, honest and fair and, but at the same time, everything is subjective. And, we all have, our bias, our built-in biases in how we perceive the world and how it should operate. However, it's always intended with the greater good in mind, hoping that, we impact, people in a positive way and not against people, always for people.
Okay, so along this journey in writing and expanding to so many different things, now you're getting into a lot of things with bringing things to life where they're tangible and people can touch it. As you even say, right behind you, you have designs and you have pictures and you have so much to share.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Okay.
I can fetch it.
Okay.
I try to do what others won't do or others are not doing. And part of that is, I try to bring forth, through the shed anyway, a culture or a side or part of our heritage that gets neglected. There's a radical side to history. The radical side to the victors in history, you use the United States for an example. They celebrate, the George Washingtons, the Paul Reveres, and, all of their warriors, through the years. General Patton, we can go all the way back to Custer, and they even celebrate their gangsters, the Al Capones and, Legs Diamonds and Bugs Moran. And, but we don't, as African people, as new African people, we don't celebrate all of our heroes. We get stuck with King, but we neglect Malcolm. We remember Rosa Parks, but we forget about Assata Shakur. And, we don't remember, and, with the shed, I want to preserve the radical side. I'm very clear. Only because it's part of the whole story. You can't tell a story and then leave out a significant portion of it, which is without a King, without a Malcolm, King may not have been as successful as he became in achieving his goals, as modest as they were, had there not been a radical component to push, the government to support him. And so, we don't always recognize that, the radical side of history pushes things a little further along, push it a little faster. Without the Black Panther Party, there was no free lunches in school. Without the Freedmen's Bureau post, colonial bondage, there wasn't a public school system in America. But there's always a radical side that pushes and, progresses history. And so here at the Shed, we try to advance that. We don't have a lot of people celebrating Queen Mother Moore. We're not celebrating Ida B. Wells. We're not celebrating George Jackson and Robert Williams and Mabel Williams. We're not celebrating those people. We're not, upholding the thinkers such as Amilcar Cabral or Franz Fanon. We do that here at the Shed because it's important. It's important. It's part of the whole truth, about the whole story. And so we try to use our creativity to also see what's missing, and not just do something just to do it, to find us a trend to follow and tag along. And it's to be original and, also to help people think, because we've lost in this age of information. I don't know if it's the saturation of information that has dumbed us down because it's so much to absorb that we absorb very little of it, or because we look for the little blurbs of knowledge versus, reading books or, reading, information that give us, a thorough basis for understanding something. We look for the soundbite, we look for the quick understanding, Cliff Notes, and the series, the dummy series, and it's not making us more intelligent. So I want to help people think too. I want to be critical thinkers. I want to be able to think themselves through problems, because ultimately we must be problem solvers. And this is part of solving one of the problems that ails the New African community here in Detroit.
Okay, and as you talk about that within the New African community and offering so much of the history in the Black story of America, you also are very as much into entrepreneurship too. And the last thing I definitely want to touch on as a person that leads Creative Differences Marketing, you and a lot of the accounts you lead, and I think you're one of those people, as people always say, Kari, you still have this political stance. You still have a collection of corporate clients that you've worked with and still work with, going from casinos to different politicians. How do you still continue to build upon your corporate entity, because you offer online services, and also still have a base like the Shed to grow that as well?
Well, being honest with myself, being true to myself, I believe in what I do. I provide good work for everyone that I perform work for, and part of it just being true to yourself. I wouldn't deal with people that I couldn't be honest with myself around. I'm not comfortable in environments where people have expectations of me that doesn't meet my own standards of my own behavior. I have no desire for that. So I just be honest to myself, and I treat everybody fair and right, and just let that speak for itself. Reputation means a lot. So I try to have decent reputation, and preserve it to the best I can. And people that know me, and they know that I'm good people. So it allows me to navigate so many different waters, and so it's all good.
Okay, so leaving people, how do people get in contact with you?
Oh, the Shed is a weekend project. It operates Friday through Sunday. It's located at 11530 Flanders, here on the east side of Detroit, right in walking distance from Detroit City Airport on Gratiot and Connor. But we can be reached on Facebook through social media. The Shed at Martz Park. That's MARTZ Park. That's the name of the park that is near. We can be reached on Instagram via the.shed, THE.SHED. On Instagram, and check us out. You can reach by phone if you want to just call the Shed, and reach us directly 313-285-8450, and we're here to service you. And if you're looking for some original creative work related to African centered art and home and office adornments, even corporate fixtures, give me a call. I'm here.
Thank you, sir.